Good evening, guys. How you all doing? So it is sort of just coming up to evening time here in the UK on Monday the 6th of January, and this is apparently the most depressed day of the year for everyone, because this is the day when a lot of people have had a significant amount of time off compared to normal and then had to go back to work, according to the media in this country. But then again, they do talk a lot of crap. But hopefully you guys are not falling into that bracket. Hopefully most of you have gone back to work and embraced the opportunity for a brand new year to advance, to climb the corporate ladder, and to just make your careers that much better. But on to more important things, or not more important things, but things that you're probably more interested for me to talk about. Yesterday, Jade and I started to looking at new cars. Actually, not just for me. I only spoke about for me, but I am actually going to get Jade a new car as well. Her car will just be a small run around, probably a brand new car, maybe something like a small Peugeot, Citroen, Toyota, Nissan Micra, that kind of car, just for her to motor to and from work every day and get really good fuel allowance. Whenever we go out together, or in fact if she even wanted a nicer car, then she could obviously take mine, but whenever we go out together, then we take my car anyway. So the investment of two expensive cars is just not going to happen, probably much to her distress, but she's happy with that anyway, and that's literally all she needs. She only really drives to work and back, but because it's a sort of very stop-start journey because of the traffic, it needs to be a very small engine car, something that's low on tax, low on fuel, etc, etc. So that's kind of what we're going to be looking at for her. She actually wants a Nissan Duke, but I keep trying to explain to her that a vehicle of that size is not going to be particularly fuel efficient, but we'll wait and see and see what comes of that. But in terms of a car for me, I had some crazy recommendations in the comments. Some of them, though, were terrific. Some people literally listed like loads and loads of different cars on Auto Trader, which is the UK sort of car selling place. And I'm really grateful for that. So thank you for putting the time and effort into that. So I thought I'd narrow it down a little bit further because there was a lot of interest in that particular video. So first off, let's talk about a grouping of certain cars here. And most of these cars I've had before, so I've got experience with these and I don't particularly want them again. So Maserati, Aston Martin, Ferrari. Let's talk about them three first of all. Ferrari, I'm swearing at you. Ferrari, I'm going to change it. Ferrari, ridiculously unreliable, ridiculously expensive, not a car that you can use on an everyday basis in any way whatsoever. Crazy expensive servicing. I'm not interested in having another one of those. Definitely not. Second up, Maserati. I know four people that have had Maseratis recently, and every single one of them has had ridiculous problems with them breaking down. They bought them, they literally have had them in and out of the garage for the first X months that they've had them, and they are just absolutely crap in terms of reliability. So, and also too expensive. So definitely out of the question, a Maserati. Not my cup of tea at all. The reason I generally go with German cars is because the most important thing to me with a car is that when you get in it and you turn the key, it works. And you don't have to worry about it breaking down. That's the most important thing to me. It was like when I had motorbikes, you know, when I had my Ducati, yeah, it was beautiful and everything like that. And in fact, my Aprilia as well. But they broke down all the time and it took the fun out of it. They were the best bikes to ride when they were working, and the same for those kind of cars. But when they don't, it just kills off all the good times. So them ones are out of the question. Aston Martin, too expensive and also falls into the unreliability category as well. So them cars are definitely out for me. I don't want to spend that huge amount of money on a car. I'm definitely not spending over 100,000. That is definitely not even close to what I'm going to be spending. So those ones are out. Obviously things like Lamborghini, Bugatti Veyrons and stuff like that is out of my price range. So they're out as well. So let's get on to the more realistic ones that a lot of people have been kind of throwing at me. One of the main ones has been the Audi A7. Now, obviously, when it comes to cars, everything is opinion. And I find it a bit ridiculous when some people just write in the comments, the Panamera is ugly. Well, it's ugly to you. It's not ugly to everyone. Everyone's got different taste. And no matter what you say, a Porsche is a Porsche is a Porsche. And a beautiful car, one of the fastest cars you can get, and German engineering, so they're perfectly reliable. That's the great thing about them. You get all the performance of all of those other supercars, but you can literally put the key in every single day and they work. But anyway, that's a whole different thing. So the Audi A7, in my personal taste, I'm not an Audi fan. I have always chosen BMW or Porsche over Audi. If there was an equivalent BMW to Audi, which there is pretty much right the way through the range, except for maybe the R8, I would always have the BMW equivalent. It's only my own personal taste. The A7 looks nice, but there's no way, in my opinion, it looks anything like as nice as the 6 Series, for example, or the Panamera. So there's not really any Audis that kind of draw my attention. Now, there is a possibility that I could do something like get an R8, which is only a 2-seater, and then we use Jade's car during family time, but I'm not quite sure if I want to do that yet. So that's kind of on the back burner for the minute, but a possibility. So moving away from Audi, because I'm just not a fan of Audi at all. If it's an A5, I'd rather have a 5 Series, like a 4 Series. If it was an A4, I'd rather have a 3 Series. An A7, I'd rather have a 6 Series, etc, etc. You get the message. So that's kind of out for me. So the next one that I was going to talk about, a lot of people have been actually saying it to me, is Jaguar. Now, up until probably the last couple of models of different Jaguars, I obviously loved the the X-Type and stuff like that back in the day, but I don't think they've brought out any sort of nice cars for a long, long time, until the last sort of 2 or 3 years maybe. And I've seen quite a few Jags that I do actually like, but the fact that they're English does put me off a little bit, and also only in terms of reliability, because we are renowned for building crap cars in that department. But also, I don't know, there's something about Jaguars that just give them a bit of an old man feel. Now, I know a lot of you are going to take the piss out of me and say, well, you are an old man, but I just don't feel like I'm at a Jaguar level yet. Maybe it's a psychological thing, maybe I'm not really sort of picking up on these new Jaguars properly, but I just don't really feel like I'm a Jaguar type person, if that makes sense. Although I do actually really like some of the most recent ones that they've done on Top Gear. And a lot of people said, do you watch Top Gear? Of course I watch Top Gear. I've been watching Top Gear for God knows how many years, since I was a kid. So Jaguar for me is a little bit out of the question. Now, Range Rover, a lot of people have been saying to me, Range Rover, I've had a Range Rover before, and like I said, I think yesterday, it just doesn't suit my driving style. Now, the new Sport could potentially be slightly different, but I just still feel I just don't know if I particularly want a car of that size. And I also had quite a few issues with my Range Rover as well, in terms of I had some issues with the supercharger and the suspension and stuff like that. So I have got a bit of a sort of bad experience with those as well. They obviously have moved on in the part since I had one, which was about 3.5, 4 years ago. So I'm not quite sure about that as well. Porsche Cayenne, I've had a Cayenne and I'll never have another one. And also, in fact, whilst we're talking about this, we can bring the Bentley into it. I don't at the moment want a car that is going to drink that much petrol. So if I got a Range Rover, it certainly wouldn't be the supercharged one. If I got a 6 Series, okay, I might get an M6, but if it wasn't that, I wouldn't get the petrol one, I'd get the diesel one. So, I'm also kind of thinking about fuel consumption, and a lot of you are obviously not from the UK, but in the UK, petrol is literally 3, 4 to 5 times as expensive as it is in the US, so we have to think quite carefully about fuel consumption. And, like I said yesterday, with the potential of growing the family, I don't really want to be putting a ridiculous amount of fuel in a car as well. It kind of, again, it sort of takes the fun out of it, just putting that much petrol in a car. So I am sort of bearing that in mind, although that is not necessarily going to come into my thinking when it comes down to the final car. But I'm kind of left with a few, really. So the Porsche Panamera is definitely high up on my list. Like I say, it is an out-and-out sports car, but in the size of a Grand Tourer. Me personally, I think it looks absolutely stunning. The interior is by far and away one of the best interiors I've ever seen. And I owned a Range Rover Vogue as well. And people say to me that the Range Rover is better, and it definitely is not. You need to go and check one out. So the Panamera is really kind of sticking to me quite a lot. And they also do the hybrid, although I don't think I'd be interested in that. But they also do a diesel version. They also do a couple of different petrol versions. The four-wheel drive wouldn't be for me, but the rear-wheel drive definitely would be. And that's the other thing with a lot of Audis as well, front-wheel drive. There's no way that I would ever have a front-wheel drive car. Definitely not. That's no fun whatsoever. So And I don't particularly want a four-wheel drive car either. I like rear-wheel drive. So the Panamera, and I've also been looking at the 6 Series, the Grand Tourer, the GT, and also the new M6, which is probably at the very peak of my price point. And the 640D I like as well, the convertible 640D. I found a really nice one on Auto Trader this morning, which has done like just a few thousand miles and was literally like 15 grand off the price tag. So that kind of thing for me sort of speaks volumes, because it's going to get excellent fuel economy. It looks absolutely stunning, and it does a 0 to 60 in just over 5 seconds. So that's kind of very, very attractive proposition to me. But I must admit, I did see a Bentley yesterday, which I absolutely loved the look of. I also saw a 911 Turbo as well, which I absolutely loved. And I would love to have another 911. So they are still in the mix, those kind of things. And in fact, I think I've contradicted myself a few times, but that's the kind of direction that I'm going towards. If it would be a sports car, it would probably be a 911, an R8, or a Bentley Continental. Although the 6 litre just really does put me off, because the fuel is insane. On the other route, Porsche Panamera, possibly Range Rover, possibly. I definitely wouldn't get an X5 or a Q7. It would either be an X6, a Range Rover, or no, in fact that's probably it in the four-wheel drive division. And then on the sort of GT side of things, the sort of four-wheel estates, the Panamera or the 6 Series BMW. I'm kind of leaning back towards the 6 Series BMW or the Panamera, if I'm totally honest. But oh my god, I've been talking for 12 minutes. I bet not a single one of you has got to the end, and I'm absolutely talking to myself. I've been kind of looking in all directions, thinking about all different things, so apologies for that. But anyway, that is it, guys. I know a lot of you were interested in the whole car subject. The amount of comments was absolutely phenomenal, so I wanted to just sort of cover it off in a little bit more detail. And I will see you all in the next one. Peace.